Hello again, wrestling fans. It's me, it's the ROB, yes. Coming at you again with another episode of Rob's Rockin Wrestling. And here today with me, I have got the one, the only, Chris Summers. Chris, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic,
Perfect.
Robert.
Thank you for coming on the show today, being my very first guest on the show as well, too. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself so they can get to better know Chris Summers?
I am the greatest professional wrestler
Greatest.
in all of Canada.
Awesome.
Nobody compares to me. And if they try to, I'm going to vape in their face and beat them to death. Yes, I said to death because I mean to death. They will die.
Death is a serious word.
Yes.
Yeah.
They will die in the ring next to me.
Beauty. So speaking of vape, what are you vaping on today?
Vaping on some ass.
Some ass.
Yes.
Yes?
It's either ass. Oh, no, it's gas.
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 G-A-S, not A-S-S. I got confused there for a second.
Gas, I believe that comes from the folks at Vapor Jedi, if I'm not mistaken.
The lovely people at Vapor Jedi
Lovely
that are
people.
lovely enough to give me juice in exchange for VHS tapes. Last week they got Land Before Time 2.
Land Before
Yes,
Time 2.
yes, Land Before Time 2.
That's a classic.
That is a good one.
Almost as good as the first one.
What do you mean almost?
Oh.
What do you mean almost?
Well, come on. I mean, I'm older than you are. I mean, I was at the theater when they put out that really old classic, The Land Before Time.
You know, those be fighting words where I come from.
Where you come from? Where do you come from exactly?
I come from the Sunshine State of Florida.
So, Sunshine State of Florida. So somewhere nice and warm like that, and you chose to come to Saskatoon of all places. What made you make the decision to cross the border and come to Saskatoon?
The crowd.
The crowd.
By far, the crowds here in Saskatchewan and Alberta are the loudest and the best fans ever. They actually care about independent wrestling. They're not just coming to see, rip-offs of the WWE. They're actually coming to see Chris Summers. They're coming to see Bucky McGraw. They appreciate what we do for them. And that's what makes them the best. And you can interact with them. And they don't care.
Perfect. So speaking of the fans, what one moment can you pick out from when you've been in the ring that you really felt the energy and the excitement of the fans? What moment stands out for you the most so far in your career?
Oh, it would probably have to be... It would either be the Battle Royal for the vacant HIW Central Canadian Heavyweight Championship, or, again with HIW, the Spring Meltdown. I went out and I confronted Al Assassino because I was tired of listening to him talk, and just the way the crowd reacted to me actually going out there and doing something about it was the best. My adrenaline was going just walking to the ring. I thought I was trying to look normal and stuff, but I couldn't. And surprisingly, a lot of people were messaging me telling me that I deserved to win the Central Canadian Heavyweight Championship. And that gave me a lot of motivation to try my hardest in that match. And it didn't work out because Slammer slammed me, and I hate him. But next time.
Let's talk a little bit about Slammer because I was actually there when you took on him in Saskatoon here, so you guys have a little bit of a history. What do you think of Slammer going forward? What plans do you have when it comes to encountering Slammer again in the future?
I hate you, Slammer. You're the worst person ever. You broke the ring with my body. I didn't appreciate that at all. I was hurt for a good 6 weeks. You really messed up my back, I'm not going to lie. And next time we're in the ring together, I'm very scared of you, so I'm hoping we can work on a friendship, actually. I'm very scared of you.
He is a big, strong individual, very intimidating man. So, speaking of going back a little bit, you mentioned about El Asesino. Let's talk a little bit about Asesino, and in particular Los Rudos, I believe it is.
Yes.
Is that what we pronounce
yes,
it?
It's Los Rudos.
Los Rudos.
Who knows?
Okay,
I don't
Los
speak
Rudos.
French.
Rudos, Rudolphs. I don't know what it is,
Exactly.
but it's one of those combinations anyway. What are your thoughts on Asesino, his recent title run, his friendship with GM Dice Steel, and also about their new addition to the team, the Muscle?
All right. We're going to get into this. El Asesino is by far the biggest asshole in the locker room.
Biggest?
Biggest. When you come to a show and you see El Asesino, that is not a character. He is going out there and he genuinely does not care about how you feel towards him. He hates everybody. But he gets stuff done.
So, he gets stuff done, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely, obviously he's got a lot of experience in the ring and stuff like that. I know you've taken him on. What was that like? What was it like wrestling El Asesino?
It was the hardest match because he hits you so hard. You would never expect it from somebody his size, but he hits you so hard that, at least 3 or 4 times in the match, I forgot where I was. Because he hits you in just the right spots to make you really hurt. And, let's not even get started on his chops. During our match, you could hear the chops. He has one of the hardest chops in all of Canada.
I'd go as far as saying he's got one of the harder chops in all of professional wrestling, actually. I myself have been on the receiving end of one of those said chops from Mr. El Asesino there, and I can tell my listeners right now it hurts like hell. The guy hits very hard, and it will take the wind right out of you, and that's what makes him a very threatening, very intimidating individual. Aside from his 15 plus years experience inside that ring, he is definitely a veteran of the mat and stuff. You came up short in the match against El Asesino last time. If you were to get another opportunity to step inside the ring with him, what might you do differently this time around?
He's with Los Rudos now. So my game plan would to not waste time. Because when I start wasting time, that's when Los Rudos comes in. And, all props to them for working together to get these wins, but that is not how a legitimate competitor would wrestle. Wrestling is one-on-one. So you go toe-to-toe with another person to see who is better. And to have Los Rudos out there, that is the worst thing to do.
Speaking of those guys, I know GM Dice still also a veteran of the ring himself. What are your thoughts on GM Dice Steel, maybe prior to Los Rudos, and maybe more so now that he has joined the group, his alliance with them in particular?
Dice Steel before Los Rudos was the nicest guy you would ever meet, ever. He cared about every single person in that locker room, but I don't know what happened. Now that he's with El Asesino, he must be thinking like Asesino because he only cares about Los Rudos now.
Okay, so moving on to the latest member of Los Rudos. What is your familiarity with him? Where they found him? What kind of threat does he pose to the rest of the HIW locker room, and in particular the Wildside locker room?
I think they got him from an alleyway in Mexico. I'm not sure. It looks like they got him from an alleyway. The guy's got fake gold chains on. It's unreal. And the thing about him, they call him the Muscle. But he has to be one of the scrawniest people I've ever seen.
Yes. Are you familiar with any of his in-ring work? Have you seen anything, or have they just been keeping him a big secret? Does that pose a threat, maybe not knowing how he can perform inside the ring. Does he pose a real threat to the locker room because he is so new and unheard of at this point?
I think for a majority of people, it'll be new. He will really be a surprise to people. If I end up wrestling him and he's really good, he's got my respect. But for now, he doesn't have my respect because I haven't seen him wrestle.
So speaking of wrestling, HIW Wildside, it's got a event coming up. It's going to be Thursday, October 26th at the Sutherland Hall in Saskatoon. So folks, to all the listeners out there, just a reminder, you can get your tickets hiwcanada.ca, I believe, and then also at Glitch Gifts here in Saskatoon, and also Vapor Jedi as well. So tickets available at all those outlets or out the door. For Thursday, October 26th, it's also going to be a Halloween spectacular, so definitely come dressed up. There's going to be prizes, everything like that, so it's going to be a fun night. But speaking of that night in particular, I know, Chris, you've been out with injury lately. How are things moving along? How's your progression coming? Is there even a slight possibility that everybody listening out there might have a chance of seeing Chris Summers on Thursday, October the 26th?
With the injury that I currently have, there is a very slight chance I make the show. But because I know how much the fans actually enjoy watching me, who knows, maybe I will just say screw it to the injury and make an appearance. But as it stands right now, very, very, very slim chance, but there's a possibility.
Okay, so aside from all that, who currently working for, say, let's go this one. Currently on the Wildside brand that you haven't stepped in the ring with yet, and then also on the HIW Canada side, who you haven't stepped in the ring with, who are two people that you would really enjoy to have a opportunity to wrestle?
I mean, on Wildside, this is probably everybody's first answer, but Michael Richard Blaze.
Tell me a bit about Blaze. Why Blaze?
He is, at the moment, probably the best wrestler in Canada. He is amazing.
The reason they call him God's gift to professional wrestling?
Yes.
Yes. What do you know about Blaze? Like, have you had any interaction with him backstage, anything like that? Is there a possibility that we will get to see Blaze versus Chris Summers down the road?
I first met Michael Richard Blaze at a Wildside show. I've caught glimpses of him beforehand, in other locker rooms, but in Wildside is when I really gotta talk to him, and it just goes to show that God's gift to wrestling isn't a lie, like he truly is. And about Summers versus Blaze, yeah, I could see a possible chance of me and Blaze going toe to toe in the ring. He really brings out the best in people, so I think me and him together would really tear down the house.
Perfect. And how do you prepare for a guy like Michael Richard Blaze? I'm quite familiar with his work. He's very fast-paced, but he's got an arrogance and aura about him and stuff like that. And people, they really struggle when it comes to taking him on one-on-one. He just seems to, he seems to have it all together inside that ring. How do you mentally prepare for a guy like that?
You just prepare. That's all. You tell yourself you're going into a match with one of the best wrestlers in all of Canada, possibly the best. And the reason why people struggle with him is because every single night when he's wrestling, he brings out something new. So there is no knowing exactly what he's going to do. The only thing you can do to beat Blaze is be better. That's all.
Okay, so moving over to the HIW Canada side, so there's probably some guys and gals over there that you haven't had a chance to work with. Who would be top of your list for someone to work
Bucky
with over
McGraw.
there? Bucky McGraw. Tell me more about Bucky.
He is the best wrestler in Saskatchewan.
In Saskatchewan?
Yes. He is genuinely the nicest guy I've ever met. I look up to him. He is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And that's including the WWE superstars. Bucky is up there. He really, really understands how to toy with people in the ring and how to break them down. And that's what I love about Bucky so much. He has worked. There's no flashy stuff. And that's what I like about him. Instead of doing a moonsault, he'll walk up and just punch you in the face. They do the same thing. But he knows that he'll be less tired and he'll be more energetic later on if he just punches you in the face. That's what I love about Bucky.
All right, so before we move on to another topic here, we're just going to shift from the HIW stuff, but before we do that, is there anything else that you'd like to tell the listeners, anybody out there, about yourself or about people you want to get a chance to get in the ring with, or anybody you want to unload on here? This is your opportunity. The mic is yours. Let the HIW crowd, let the HIW roster know what Chris Summers has planned.
I plan on coming back to HIW and killing everybody. Again, with the death. I know I'm not better than a lot of the wrestlers on the roster, so my only option would be to kill them before our match so that I can get the win by forfeit. Because if they're dead, they can't agree to the match.
Oh, perfect. We're looking forward to seeing you back inside the ring. I want to shift over to WWE House Show from last night on October 13th in Saskatoon. I know I was there. You were also there. So I wanted to just go over it for our listeners so that they can get a chance if they weren't at the show or if they were to relive it a little bit. So let's talk about the night itself. The opening match was a Cruiserweight Championship match. Champion Kalisto defending against Enzo Amore. What did you like, maybe not like, about this particular encounter?
I loved Kalisto. I love him. He's great.
He's a fantastic worker.
Yes, he is. Enzo, I feel, played the crowd too much. Too much. And there's usually no such thing as that, but he was really focused on getting us going and less on the actual wrestling. And the thing about Canadian fans is that we care a lot about the wrestling.
We come from a wrestling heavy background here in Canada,
exactly.
For sure. Enzo, though, I'll admit, can cut one hell of a promo and he will get a reaction. So, that I think is why he's on 205 Live to begin with. He's got the charisma, whether you like him or don't like him. I think that's beside the point or whatever. But Kalisto, in my opinion, very underrated in many ways. His size, I think, doesn't help with that. So it's nice to see him in the Cruiserweight division because I think that's a place where he's going to dominate. Before we talk about the next match, though, speaking of the Cruiserweight division, have you heard about the recent rumors about Neville?
He quit.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Understandable. For someone with his skill in the ring, just being one of the best wrestlers in the WWE, to have a plan to lose to Enzo again, it's totally understandable. Enzo is not on Neville's level.
Not very many that are on Neville's level. I remember, first I saw the guy. I admit I didn't get to see him on the indie work before he was signed over to WWE, but I saw him definitely in NXT. And my feeling on the guy is whether he's in a short match, a long match, he's giving it 110% all the time.
Yes.
He's always giving you at least a 4-star quality match. And I say at least a 4-star quality because he'd give you the 5-star if the other guy was giving it back at the same time.
Yes,
but
exactly.
He will make guys look good in the ring despite them not maybe being on that Neville level, as he says, kind of thing. So, but shame to see him go. Where would you like to see him go if he goes to another company, another promotion? Where would you feel Neville's level would fit best?
New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan has the best superstars in the world at the moment.
And who would you like to see? One dream match. Neville versus
Will Ospreay.
That'd be a hell of a match.
It would be.
Yes. Will
Spot
Ospreay.
Fest. spot fest.
Definitely,
but
a
it
spot
would be
fest.
great.
Yeah, but I think we'd be thoroughly entertained. We could see another very long New Japan-based match on our hands right there.
Yes,
So.
I see a junior heavyweight championship for Neville in the future.
Yeah, that's definitely in his future for sure.
Yes.
So, okay, so the next match of the night, we were surprised to see Goldust.
Yes,
Goldust came out.
Oh, I love him.
And Darren Young returning.
Yeah.
It was kind of a subtle yeah, but yeah. So it was Goldust and Darren Young taking on Curtis Axel and Kurt Hawkins. So no Bo Dallas last night. Bo, I think he must have been out shaking hands and kissing babies or something like that around Saskatoon. Wasn't able to make it. Maybe it was a little too damn cold for the boy.
Oh, probably too cold.
Probably too cold. Anyway, so what were your thoughts on this match in particular? What do you like, maybe not like about this one?
I love Goldust so much.
Who doesn't?
I love Goldust so much. Oh my god. When his entrance music hit, that was worth the price of admission right there.
Yeah.
It was already a killer event, but just having Goldust there was...
I don't mark
really
out
the cherry
too
on top.
often, with what I know about the business, but every once in a while you can't help but mark out, and the fact that I got to see Goldust before he retires at a show in Saskatoon, I had no choice but to mark out at that point.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Goldust is really just one of the most entertaining people in the ring.
And for any of the fans listening that might be listening from the United States, where you've maybe seen Goldust a handful of times because you get a lot of WWE pay-per-views, Raws, SmackDowns, and stuff, where we are in Canada, in Saskatchewan in particular, we're not very well known for getting our big WWE events. In fact, we've never had an actual televised event aside from the taping that happened when Ric Flair lost the world title to Bret Hart, and that was actually 25 years ago.
Yes,
On the 12th of October, if I'm not mistaken, so the day before they come back, 25 years ago, Bret Hart surprisingly wins the world title in Saskatoon. Probably one of the more shining moments that we've ever had here, but yes, we don't often get the big events. So if you're listening and you're wondering why we're marking out so hard for Goldust, it's because we never thought in a million years we'd get to see Goldust at a live event without going to a pay-per-view or something along those lines. Kind of thing.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah. But anyways, yes, that match in particular, Goldust, Darren Young picking up the win. What are your thoughts on Darren Young right now? Is he going to fit in the WWE roster, or is this another guy that is going to be better off maybe seeing out his contract and going on to something else for a little while and rebuilding himself?
Darren Young, just off the bat, from when he first started to now, has improved in the ring so much. He is a really good wrestler. The only thing that's missing is charisma and character.
And I think that's where they originally wanted Bob Backlund to come in. And I'm a huge Bob Backlund mark. I love that old bastard. He's
does.
Quite entertaining, and I'm pretty sure that at the age of 100, he'd still step in that ring and beat a guy up. So
yes, he would.
Yeah, it was I was kind of hoping that Bob Backlund would have been there last night, but I'm pretty sure that it was past his bedtime on a Friday evening.
Oh, of
So
course, of course.
Unfortunately, we did not get to see him. Curtis Axel. I mean, great individual, probably more entertaining in the later in the evening when he was there with the Miz. So we'll talk about that in a bit. What are your thoughts on Kurt Hawkins? I believe this is 160 match losing streak now, if I'm not mistaken, in there somewhere. What are your thoughts on Kurt Hawkins? Sorry, not managing to pick up a win, and how long is this streak going to last?
I predict it'll last quite a long time. But that doesn't mean it's not entertaining. I am so entertained by all of Kurt Hawkins. I know a lot of people don't really know how to take him, but he is super, super entertaining, and I love watching his stuff because, he's not afraid to look stupid, but looking stupid will also make him better. It was a while from the last time we seen him in the WWE. He's back now. The losing streak is probably because there's so many amazing wrestlers now. Like, you got Nakamura, you've got Bobby Roode, you've got all these guys that have worked for a long, long time, only getting better. And Kurt Hawkins is going to get a win. It might take him a while, though. He just has to adapt.
So when he gets that win, is that going to maybe change his fortunes? Like, is working with some of the best talents in the world right now a good thing? It's like maybe you look at it right now, it's like, okay, the guy is on a losing streak, and a lot of people, a lot of fans out there will take that as, the guy's being buried or something like that. Sometimes I would look at it differently. Like, when he finally gets that win, he's had the experience of wrestling these top guys. So then he himself improves inside the ring, and with that improvement, he could eventually work his way up the ladder.
Yes.
What are your thoughts there?
About the buried comment, I don't really know if there's a thing about getting buried. I don't think anybody can get buried because of one guy. This will be also in reference to John Cena, how they say he buries everybody. If you are good enough to take a loss and still be relevant, you are not buried. Kurt Hawkins has a losing streak and he's making it relevant. How is that being buried? He's not even close to being buried because he's still on, SmackDown Live. He'll still make an appearance on Main Event. He's still making TV. If he was buried, he would be working nothing but house shows and the live events.
Well, exactly. And that's, a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, I think they figure that as soon as somebody takes a loss, it's a complete burial of their character. Yet it's how you handle loss and stuff like that and how you move on from it at the same time. Some of your absolute favorites, if you were to go back on the earlier parts of their career, it's not like they were going out there and winning every match that they ever stepped into. People work their way up. And when you're working with some of the best in the world, you will have to take your share of losses before you get back to the top or become the top guy. It's all a learning curve, and that's what it is. And it's how you take it. So, to all the people out there that think, Roman's burying guys, Cena's burying guys, they're doing their job. They're asked to go out there and do a certain thing, and that's what they do. And they do it really well. These guys are extremely over. You know who they are, whether you like them or not. So something is working about them, and that's what the other guys need to learn, and that's what they are learning. And, in the case of Kurt Hawkins and this what we're talking about here, Kurt Hawkins is making, he's making relevant what normally would be considered a burial thing, and it's going to be a big deal. I think the fans are going to pop hard when Kurt Hawkins finally gets that big win, because it's now going to be a moment.
Yes.
That we'll remember.
He made it so relevant that, there's no way but up from here. I'm assuming eventually the fans will get behind him, because I'm already behind him. And back to some HIW stuff. I've lost basically every match I've ever been in. I won one match against Giselle. And
quite the talent, by the way, if anyone's not familiar with her.
Really good. Like, I love wrestling.
Yeah, props out to Giselle if she ever listens
Giselle,
to this.
I love you. I want to marry you.
Watch out, Brett Morgan. Chris is coming for you.
Brett, I will harm you. And I'm going to take Giselle. And I'm going to marry her. So, anyways, back to the stuffs. I've lost every single match I've been in except against Giselle, which, of course, I would win against Giselle. I'm like 10 times her size. Like, her body is my left leg. So, and no discredit to her. She's
tough as nails, regardless.
Beat the crap out of me. Like, I felt it for months afterwards. She really is the toughest and one of the best.
But there's a good thing to talk about right there. Is like, I mean, okay, you got your win against Giselle, someone who's got a lot of experience in this industry and has worked over the world, currently working in the United States and stuff like that. And here you come, a new up-and-comer in the industry, and she was ready to work with you and help you out as well, too, kind of thing. Just like I'm sure other people did with her at the beginning of her career.
Yes. Gonna go a little bit insider for a second.
Let's do it.
After our match, it was the greatest compliment to have her come up to me and say, I felt super safe in there with you. And that's all you can really ask for, is to make sure that the person you are wrestling has fun and you both look great while staying safe. And I think in that match, we both looked great.
And this is exactly why you know, when you're watching WWE and stuff like that, and those things come up about not trying this at home. I know there's a lot of people out there that do backyard wrestling at their homes, and they think they've watched on TV. They know exactly how it's done. But this is something you need to take seriously, folks.
Yes.
Injuries happen even when you're trained.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And it's, you know, it hurts. Wrestling hurts. I don't care how many people say it's fake and this is padded, that's padded. You know, you guys, it hurts like hell when you land on those mats. Whether it's, you know, a show that's designed to, you know, be entertainment value, it still hurts to get inside that ring, and you need to respect the people that are putting their lives on the line every single night and have trained for this.
Yes, exactly. Wrestling is real. No matter how much they say, oh, the ring is padded, it's not padded enough to protect you against your own body. Your body weight slamming onto a little piece of padding, it still hurts. No, you guys have probably set up a mattress and jumped from the couch onto your back and knocked the wind out of yourselves. So people say it's like a mattress. Oh, it's bouncy. The bounce does nothing. The bounce hurts you more.
It really does.
Yes.
It does. Landing on the mat is nothing like what people are used to with, like you say, jumping off a couch onto a mattress and winding yourself. I mean, I'm not one to talk as a stupid kid. I mean, my brother and I, you know, body slam each other in the backyard in the snow and stuff like that. And we were winding each other then when we had big, thick winter coats on and stuff. But should we have been doing it? No, and I don't condone doing it, because now that I know more about the industry and stuff like that as I got older and had a chance to do a little bit of work as well too. Those mats, I mean, they're not designed to be comfortable, and you know, it does hurt. I mean, I would equate it more to if you were to take a thin blanket or something and lay it on your basement floor.
Yes.
And then take a bump off that.
Yes.
Just go down on the top of your back off that. There you go. That's what it feels like to get dropped inside of a ring.
Yes.
And that's just a basic drop. You imagine them when they're doing a goddamn superplex or something like that.
Exactly.
I mean, the impact your body takes.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about it. Like, you've been inside the ring. You know how the body feels afterwards. What kind of recovery time does it take sometimes? How does your body feel the night after a match?
The night after a match, it is the worst pain. You wake up and you don't want to get out of bed because if you move a certain way, you can't breathe. It's so different from every other thing, you know. People, you know, that are fans will come up to me after shows and be like, "Oh, you know, I work a hard labor job. I could totally be a wrestler." This is way different, you know. I've woken up from matches and it's the worst thing ever. You know, I have an injured knee that I need surgery on that I'm postponing. So after a match, you know, I feel like garbage. You know, I need at least probably a good 25 to 30 minute period until I'm ready to actually talk to somebody again. Like, it really takes everything out of you. You know, it is one of the worst things that you can go through. It hurts, but you keep going only to get more hurt.
Exactly. So, moving on to the next part of last night's show in Saskatoon, Elias. Let's talk about Elias. Elias comes out and he serenaded us in Saskatoon, not with one of his typical songs
he played
that he does.
Wonderwall.
We got Wonderwall, a cover of the Oasis classic Wonderwall.
Yes.
What were your thoughts when you heard that last night?
I love Elias more now, but I'm better at guitar than him.
Better at guitar than him. Well, if you're better at guitar than him, are we ever going to see a Chris Summers original?
Oh,
A Chris Summers original in the ring.
Oh, you might see a Chris Summers original being played in front of the Saskatoon crowd.
Ooh.
You may see something. I may be in the works of something right now.
Beautiful. And you heard it first right here on Rob's Rockin Wrestling anyway. So, Elias taking on R-Truth last night. Thoughts on R-Truth?
Dude's like 1,000 years old and can still move around the ring like he moves around the ring better than I can. And I am young.
It's actually quite hard to watch and think that there's a guy who's putting his body on the line for as long as he has and stuff like that. I mean, he moves like an 18-year-old once he gets in there. Like, he gets in zone. I could imagine what his body feels like after a match.
His body probably feels 10 times worse than mine, but he does it every single day.
Yeah. So Elias managing to get the win over R-Truth last night, finishing him off with the drift away, which was it was quite fun. I was glad to see Elias definitely there last night. Definitely a character that I've grown to really enjoy in his time on Raw so far. So, I hope for big things for Elias moving forward. Next last night, tag team title match. We had Dean and Seth defending the titles in a triple threat against Heath Slater and Rhino, and then the Bar. Let's talk a little bit about this one. Let's start with Heath Slater and Rhino. What are your thoughts on seeing them last night?
God, I love Rhino so much.
Yeah.
And Heath Slater, I mean, come on. The guy's got kids.
He does. He needs this job.
He needs that job because he has kids.
How many kids does he have now?
It's like 1,000.
Like 1,000. He's got more than anybody will ever know for sure. I'm pretty sure of that. And then Rhino getting the EC dub chants from the Saskatoon crowd last night. I think they were provoked by Rollins, though, of all things. I'm pretty sure Rollins got the EC dub chants going last night.
Yes. Well, the thing about Seth, I'm sure he has such respect for ECW and what Rhino did in ECW to make himself a legend today. So, to even be a part of the chants for Rhino was a surreal experience because you could see that he genuinely enjoyed being out there for us. He really enjoyed, how loud we were, how involved we were in the match. It was...
Well, especially considering another guy who's been in the business for a long time and stuff like that, doesn't necessarily need to be traveling to places like Saskatoon in particular to prove anything to anybody. Yet still, this is twice in 1 year that we have now seen Rhino make his way to Saskatoon. Yes. And it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I love him. He puts in the work. I'm not sure if you watch TNA, their older stuff, every week I would watch. And, there were little vignettes of him training a guy. I can't remember his name. It was like Jesse, something like that.
Jesse Goddard.
There you go.
Mr. Spectacular from Big Brother himself.
So, and then he went on to be a part of Inc.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. But, there were little vignettes of him training this guy before shows. Being at his level, he doesn't have to do anything like that. But he's got such a love for everything that we do that he's willing to put in the time for the up-and-coming guys. Yeah.
So, still talking about this match, what are your thoughts on the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro?
Cesaro needs to stop grabbing beach balls. It's not funny.
It's not funny. You like the beach balls then?
No. No, I hate the beach balls. Yeah. Stop playing with a beach ball and watch the fucking wrestling.
I agree with that. I'll be honest with you, I thought that was a great moment when Cesaro went and grabbed the beach ball and ripped it up in front of the fans. I mean, that is such a heel move, and it worked so well to get him that negative attention because Cesaro, despite the fact turning heel, was still getting crowd pops from the audience and stuff like that because people like Cesaro. He's a likable individual.
And he's a superhuman in the ring.
He is. And you know what? It doesn't matter. I think this is the third tag team he's been a part of since being on the main roster, at least anyway. I know he's been in more than that in his career, but it just seems to me like Cesaro knows how to work with somebody else because I like Sheamus, but I was never a huge Sheamus fan, but I think I've become more of a Sheamus fan with his work with Cesaro in particular. I really enjoy Sheamus and Cesaro as a team and think that they do great for the tag division on Raw.
Oh yes, together they are unreal. And I think Cesaro has made Sheamus better because ever since being in the tag with Cesaro, you can't look flabby and out of shape next to Cesaro. Cesaro looks like he was sculpted from marble. Like,
I'm pretty sure he was. From
marble. No one's really sure at this point. He was either born or he's just a statue. I
mean, who else gets their teeth knocked into their gums and continues to fight one of the best matches we've seen on WWE all year?
Exactly.
That got to be a top 10 match. Pretty close to anyway.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, his moment's going to go down probably even higher than what the match itself does. That's going to make the top 5 moments of the entire year. Yeah. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yeah.
Because it looked like he was laughing about it afterwards. Yeah. It really did look like a laugh to me.
Yeah. And for people that have never, broken a tooth or anything, I've broken teeth before. And when you break them, just inhaling hurts because the wind is like hitting your nerve and stuff. So for him to do something that's so physically demanding and cardio based while having like 2 missing front teeth.
Well, not even missing. They went up inside of his gums. They
That's
punched
unreal.
up, which is, I think, almost as well. Like, breaking your teeth would be bad because it's going to expose nerve. But, man, that guy is going to have exposed nerve anyway because they've gone up inside your gums and stuff like that. I mean, that's got to hurt.
Exactly. It really does hurt.
Tough as balls. That's
yes. Superhuman.
That tag champs, they ended up picking up the win. Dean and Seth now back with the Shield. What are your thoughts on Dean and Seth, and also on the reuniting of the Shield?
Seth is great, and I'm sure there's a certain somebody in the HIW locker room that I agree with that Dean Ambrose is lazy.
I've heard this a lot, and we're going to talk about this for a minute because I am a Dean Ambrose fan, but I see where it comes from, and it comes from. You can almost call every spot the man's going to do in a match because he's become very one-dimensional in terms of his matches. And I don't mean to discredit Dean. I mean, he's a workaholic at the same time. I mean, I can't discredit the guy. I think there needs to be a refreshing for Dean Ambrose.
Yes. Yeah. I don't mind him doing the same thing every match, but in the same order every single time,
I think that's where I was kind of leaning towards.
Yes, every wrestler has like their 4 moves.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single wrestler. Yeah. If anybody ever says John Cena and Roman Reigns can't wrestle because they do the same moves, those are moves that they have perfected.
If they think that, then maybe they should go watch a Kevin Nash match, especially when he was Diesel in particular. I mean, I'm pretty sure that one of that guy's actual 4 moves was flipping his hair over top of his head.
Yeah.
And tearing his quads every time he walks. But, and no discredit to him either. I mean, it's hard to be in the wrestling ring. Doesn't matter what you do. I mean, it's easy for us to sit there and watch on the sidelines as fans and criticize and stuff, but we're not the ones in there doing it. We're not in front of thousands, maybe sometimes hundreds of thousands of people trying to remember all this pattern of moves and stuff, or calling spots inside the ring with people and trying to stay safe at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but I personally am happy that they're doing the Shield reuniting currently.
Yes,
I think it's going to help Dean, but I also think that when it ends, if they're going to turn anybody in the situation, I think Dean is the one in need of it the most.
Yes, Dean is in need of something new.
Yeah,
right now he's just that funny, insane guy, and I'm digging the whole character. I like the insane guy that's funny because, it's entertaining. But I would like to see him more serious, like when he was first starting in the Shield.
Yeah. And if we got that along with a bit of his insanity at the same time, I think we could be in for a real treat. So I think that once the Shield does disband, and I hope they don't do it immediately, I hope that Dean's the one that gets the turn. Because, with a guy like Roman, I don't think there's any need for any kind of a turn. The fans are going to make their decision on Roman regardless of what WWE decides at this point. I think he's kind of reached that Cena-ish type level where despite what WWE does, the certain half of the fans are going to boo, certain half of the fans are going to cheer. If you turn that particular character, you're just going to reverse the order of who's booing and who's cheering for the damn person. So yes, I think we both in agreement. Dean needs a bit of a refresher. At the same time, I do respect the guy and hope that it works out for the best for him in the end. I know Seth and Roman, I think, will be fine. Seth, I think, especially. Roman, obviously, but I think Seth, even when he breaks free on his own again, I think is going to be just fine. I mean, people love Seth Rollins.
Oh, Seth Rollins is...
Plus, I mean, he's obviously a Power Rangers fan with all of his crazy Power Rangers-like outfits that he likes to wear to the ring, but don't blame the guy. So, up next, we had women's action. Sasha Banks and Dana Brooke were in action against Alexa Bliss and Alicia Fox. Emma, special guest referee. Let's talk about Emma for a moment, the one that will be taking on Asuka at TLC this weekend. What are your thoughts on Emma?
Great. She's fantastic.
Really come a long way.
Oh, yes. She is great. That All About Me thing that she's doing, I love it.
Yeah.
Because it should be all about her.
Yeah.
We've seen Sasha Banks wrestle everybody a million times already. It's got to be about Emma now.
And they seem to be doing that, where they're taking a chance on letting some different personalities come forth and stuff. I mean, they have established Sasha, they've established Nia, they've established Bailey. You know, on the Raw
Yes.
side anyway. You know, they need some more depth. And that's what they're
Yes.
doing right now, I
Yes.
think, with Emma especially. They got Asuka coming in this Sunday to take on Emma. What are your thoughts on that match? What should we expect? Who's going to come out victorious?
Oh, Asuka's gonna destroy Emma.
Yeah, and I say that because there is a lot of chatter online. A lot of people think that Vince is the type of person that would pull a fastball on the WWE fans and make the streak end in her first match against Emma.
I don't think so. You know, a lot of the people that come up with these speculations are just the worst fans to talk to because they think they understand everything. Vince knows how to run a company and he knows what makes money. That's why Roman's at the top, even though you don't like it, because you're still buying his merchandise. You're still watching him every week.
You're paying a ticket to boo the guy.
Exactly. So, you know, he knows what works and what doesn't. Right now, that streak is the best thing for Asuka. So she's got to keep it. She's gonna keep it for a long time.
I've kind of looked at it this way, and this is my thoughts on it. And you can pipe in with your opinion. When it comes to Asuka and the streak, I almost think that this is something that could be good for longevity. Having her go over, winning the title as the undefeated champion. I always said it would be best for her not to lose on her way out of NXT, that relinquishing the title for her move to the main roster was a great idea to keep the streak alive.
Yes.
She wins the Raw Women's Championship down the road, keeping her separated from the Queen, Charlotte. I feel that Charlotte, with her kind of skill and her stature as a professional wrestler, especially carrying the Flair name at this point, that if they were ever to look at having a big main event at one of the big four, or even talking about WrestleMania, having the women main event at WrestleMania, I think right now their best bet is to keep Asuka and Charlotte apart and eventually look down the road for a main event between Asuka and Charlotte.
Oh, yes.
Especially with the streak still intact.
Yes. With the streak, Charlotte versus Asuka would be...
Because they, as far as I know, they've never encountered each other. Because she was out of NXT prior to Asuka being signed.
Yes. So they haven't met before. So
Exactly.
Their first meeting should be a big one for the two best women's wrestlers in the WWE.
Yes.
You know, Asuka could make a 5-star match with a fucking broom.
She could. Asuka's fantastic. And you know what? Despite the language barrier, has really grasped how to be a character in the North American market, which doesn't always pan out. And, you know, I think a lot of people might be fearing, like, they've seen Shinsuke Nakamura over on SmackDown. A lot of people are very critical that he's not quite the same as what he was on NXT, and they might be fearing that the possibility that Asuka might turn out the same. Do you feel that, or do you feel she's grasped it enough that her character's strong enough to survive on its own going into the main roster?
I don't understand when people say Shinsuke isn't the same, because he's the exact same. It's just in front of a bigger crowd. You know, in front of a crowd that doesn't watch NXT every week. You know, there's certain people that will, but a majority of people don't watch NXT every single week. So, you know, it's really, you know, everything you know in NXT changes when you go up to SmackDown Live, you know. He's exactly the same as he was in NXT, but he's got to adjust to being on SmackDown, you know?
What the NXT fans, I think, need to realize is when they get to the main roster, they need to treat it like when their favorite indie darlings end up coming over to NXT for the first time. Like, you can't expect everybody to step in the ring and just automatically be the best. I mean, you know, this week they had the debut of Lio Rush on NXT, you know, a young kid, very good look, very quick individual in the ring. And, I mean, he lost in his opening match to the Velveteen Dream. It's not necessarily that this is a bad thing. We know Lio Rush, with the right amount of work, is going to get to the top of NXT at some point and stuff like that. And then when he makes it to the main roster, same thing's going to happen. It's like you have to erase everything you found out about the kid in NXT and treat him as if he's a brand new debuting superstar.
Exactly. That's why Bobby Roode, NXT champion, loses, goes to SmackDown Live. Now he's on the mid-card because he's got to adjust to everything. You know, there's different cameras. There's different ways you need to work a match. Down at Full Sail University is just a bunch of smart marks that think they know everything, so they're gonna, you know, expect a 5-star match. And when they get that, they go crazy. WWE Universe is a lot different from Full Sail University. The WWE Universe cares about entertainment and wrestling. So Bobby Roode needs to learn how to entertain while also keeping his matches great.
And I think he will. Bobby Roode's got a lot of experience. We know that he definitely was able to do this in his career in TNA for sure. I think it'll get there. And it's got to be a slow burn. It's like with any of these guys coming up, it's going to take time to develop them to becoming the superstars that, we think so fondly of. We mark out for a guy like Goldust. Well, I mean, to get to Goldust's stature, they need to get there first. It's not like Goldust came in and won everything when he debuted in the 90s. I mean, yeah, they pushed him hard at first and stuff, but as far as they pushed him, they also pushed him down just as far because he needed to learn and, pay his dues, as they say in the business, and it comes with experience and time.
Exactly. Like, the WWE is like nothing else. Because Leo Rush can go put on an amazing match in Ring of Honor and then come to NXT and lose to the Velveteen Dream. It's because, Ring of Honor is completely different from WWE. People who say, oh, it's wrestling, it's all the same thing. The way Leo Rush is in Ring of Honor is completely different to when they're in NXT. Like Adam Cole also, a lot of people are saying that, oh, they're just going to dub him down. Yeah, they're going to dub him down because a lot of the stuff he does is highly dangerous. If Ricochet shows up next Wednesday on NXT, you're not going to see a double moonsault or a 630 senton. You're not going to see that because he could die.
And if you see it, even anything like it for a while in NXT, it's going to then, again, be reduced a little bit more when he makes it to the main roster. Because, again, they're trying to be safe. And what people don't realize, the difference between the indies and WWE in particular, is that with indie shows, a lot of the times you're booking, say, a show a week, maybe sometimes two, and stuff like that. WWE superstars are pretty much working daily.
Yeah.
Whether it's house shows, live events, whatever it is, and then also going to all their meet and greets, everything like that for the company.
Yeah.
It's going to take its toll. And if you're not a safe worker inside that ring, it's going to hurt. And I think it'd be a long time recovering from moves that we want to see, that we see in the indies, but we don't understand that you get to WWE, you start pulling these moves every single night, and guys are going to get injured, and then you won't be seeing them at all for elongated periods of time, or you'll see early retirements like you do with guys like Daniel Bryan and stuff like that, where we lose a great superstar in his prime because of injuries.
Yeah, that's the thing, Ricochet understands that now, and that's what I appreciate about Ricochet is that he understands that the WWE is different. I know he's hinting towards a WWE debut soon, but
it's only a matter of time.
Oh yeah, he isn't gonna do double moonsaults, stuff like that, because he'll have to do that every single night the WWE to a majority of indie wrestlers is longevity. You make it to the WWE, you can wrestle every single day and be fine because it's completely different from what I have to do on the independent circuit. In order to get the crowd going, I have to do something insane that hurts me a lot. In my match with Slammer, just to get the crowd interested in the end of the match, we had to break the ring in order to make them, slightly happy for like 10 minutes. It's the same thing at the WWE live event last night here in Saskatoon. Half the crowd was chanting, "We want tables." You can't go through a table every night.
No.
Just because it's a last man standing match doesn't mean there has to be a table. Roman Reigns got hit with steel steps twice. Do you know how heavy those fucking things are? You know how bad they hurt?
They're extremely heavy. And I mean, just because Braun picks them up like they're a toy, it doesn't mean that anybody else in that audience is going to go do the same. Those are
I
not
can't
light
pick up
things.
steel steps.
Yeah, I don't understand. We're going to get to that match in a moment here. Going back to the women's match, we talked about Emma. What are your thoughts on a couple of them, obviously, that aren't as big of names because they maybe just haven't been pushed to their limit or given the right go-around in the company? Start with Alicia Fox. What do you think of Alicia?
Give Alicia Fox more TV time. She deserves it so much. I watched her last night, and she was entertaining while also being a great wrestler. I think she's very underutilized and unappreciated.
Put in her time, too.
Yes.
Yeah. So
in more than enough time to be in the main event picture. She could be a women's champion And I wouldn't be mad with it because she's that great. She puts in the work. You know, she is very, very good. And she has, you know, worked everybody on the Divas roster right now. And all of it has been fluid. There's been chemistry between them where she's comfortable working anybody now. Give her more TV time and show everybody what she's truly capable of. Same with Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke has improved so much since I first watched her in NXT.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question, was thoughts on Dana Brooke and how far she's come along after seeing her last night.
Oh, man, she was great. You know, there were a couple things she messed up, but, like, you mess things up in matches. I know a lot of people listening to this are just fans, you know. You will mess up in a match. It's bound to happen. You cannot avoid a botch. And I hate saying that word botch. But
Botchamania.
Yeah, botchamania.
Hope you're listening, Matthew.
Yeah. You cannot avoid messing up in a match. It's gonna happen. You forget stuff, or your timing's off. Wrestling is about timing and you know, really being able to work together. That's why it's called professional wrestling, because we're professionals. We work together, and you will mess things up. You know, I've messed things up. You know, I there's people that have wrestled, you know, 17 years that mess stuff up because it's going to happen. Not every match is going to be perfect. Sasha Banks messes up her fucking finish like 90% of the time. She just is really bad at putting people into the bank statement.
Speaking of Sasha Banks, there last night, thoughts on her in general?
People need to stop saying she has a really big ass because she doesn't. That makes me angry.
And Chris, the ass eater, he knows asses.
I know asses. I've studied asses. I'm obsessed with ass. Sasha Banks does not have a good ass. And everybody's going to hate me for this, and I don't care. And I know a lot of people that I am friends with are going to hate me for this. I don't care. Sasha Banks doesn't have a good ass. All right? She is too small to have a good ass. Now, Dana Brooke, on the other hand. Dana Brooke, oh my, don't even get me started on Dana Brooke. And Emma, oh my God. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. We're going to have to change subjects.
Okay, we'll cool it off a little bit. Quick thoughts on Alexa Bliss.
Now, her booty, oh my God.
off the top, let's talk about ring skill.
Oh, okay, all right.
Ring skill, Alexa Bliss.
Yes, I forgot. Women's wrestling isn't all about looks.
Exactly.
I get confused sometimes. Really great. She's so small and so young that, you know, she'll throw a hissy fit in the ring. And I fucking love it because throwing a hissy fit in the ring is exactly what she should do. Being a small, like, you know, how old is she? Like in her 20s?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. 20s, she's an early 20s person, 20s. So she got a long career. I mean, you know, they say that you don't even really hit your prime until you're in your early 30s kind of thing. So,
yes.
I mean, we could be seeing just the beginning of a fantastic career for Alexa Bliss.
Master of facial expressions also.
She's got those down packed.
She can make me cry just by looking at me a certain way.
And you know what? She's had some pretty intense moments when she's done her double jointed arm break look and stuff in the ring. Is quite entertaining, something a little bit different we hadn't seen before. So I'm glad they don't overuse the spot, but I'm glad that it has been done both on Raw and SmackDown and individual matches too.
Yes, I absolutely love the double jointed thing. But I'm double jointed in my thumbs. Someone put me in a thumb lock, break my thumb, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect. So 2 more matches to talk about from last night. We had the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, versus Jason Jordan. Let's start with Jason Jordan. Thoughts on him?
I don't believe that's actually Kurt Angle's son.
You want a DNA test?
I would like some proof.
Some proof.
I want them to go print that glory.
Yeah. Thoughts on Jason Jordan, the individual, and then maybe some more thoughts on, do you believe that he should be the one getting this current push that he seems to be getting?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he should get it. He's good enough. No. You know, a lot of people aren't behind the Kurt Angle storyline. But you guys don't understand. They're both amateur wrestlers. You know? Obviously, that's his son. You guys are just stupid.
And the look too. A little bit of the
He
look.
kind of looks like
he
him.
got that
I
look.
noticed last night that he kind of looked like, in the face, he kind of looks like him, and it kind of scared me. I was like, am I actually watching Kurt Angle in blackface? And I was like, oh, wait, that's racist.
Now we just got to get him to have Kurt Angle's charisma, and we could be on to something here.
I want to see... I'm just a sexy Jason Jordan.
Just a sexy JJ. There we go.
Yeah,
sexy
just a
JJ.
sexy JJ. I want to see it. Vince, I know you're watching this. Book it! I need to see just a sexy JJ with a small cowboy hat.
A small cowboy hat.
I have to see a small cowboy hat.
You know what? Even if you just tape it for a online thing for fun, JJ, if you're listening, damn well do it because it's going to be.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thoughts on the Miz?
The best mid-card guy right now.
Do you believe that mid-card is where he belongs, or is Miz a main player?
He's a main player.
Yeah. Miz worked the crowd quite well in Saskatoon last night. I think better than anybody else on last night's card. He was able to go from, I think at times, people chanting awesome, people chanting for the Miz, and then turning them right around into booing the snot out of the guy.
Yeah, for real. Master of working crowds. When he was here last time, again, this is a 2-time in 1 year. And every single time he's been here, he knows what he can say to get under our skin. He called us fat. And that is only slightly true.
Only slightly.
Only like 90% of the fans there were
festively
fat.
Plump, Miz.
Yes, Miz. I'm not fat. I'm big boned.
Big boned, that's right. That's how the saying goes.
Exactly.
Do you feel that The Miz has made relevance of the Intercontinental Championship compared to what it was doing prior to The Miz's run?
I pay attention to the IC title a lot more now that Miz has it because he is fighting to defend the thing on pay-per-views. Like, what other Intercontinental Champion do you know that would do that?
Not many nowadays, anyway.
Exactly.
I used to love the Intercontinental title for that, especially as a kid. It was one of my favorite times to watch was when you would get an Intercontinental Championship match. In particular, I want to talk about when I was a kid watching, I believe it was SummerSlam when it was Bret Hart versus Davey Boy Smith. SummerSlam that was at Wembley Stadium. And that Intercontinental title match, to me, was as good as any main event world title match that you could have had and stuff like that. There was a great storyline, great passion, and it made relevance of the Intercontinental Championship as well at the same time. The Intercontinental title, I feel Miz has done that again. He has made you want to watch that particular title, and that's what I love about the Intercontinental Championship. It's a title that, yes, it might be a mid-card title, but at the same time, it's something that people should be interested in and want to watch as well.
Yeah, if you're not interested in the Intercontinental Championship picture right now, you're a big loser. I'm gonna fucking beat you up.
Exactly. Main event last night was a last man standing match. Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns going at it 1-on-1. Let's talk a little bit first about Braun Strowman, the monster among men. This guy is even more intimidating when you see him in person, even at a distance. He looks like somebody who's going to come up and maul you. What are your thoughts on Braun Strowman in his current run with the company?
I can beat him up.
You can beat him up.
Yeah.
Take him on. That's a challenge directly to Braun Strowman from Chris Summers there.
Book it. War Games.
War Games. Chris Summers versus Braun Strowman.
Cage.
There we go.
The triple stack cage. I'm going
3
to
cages
decimate.
of hell or whatever it was called. There we go.
Who knows? I don't want to confuse it with the 3 stages of hell.
No, there you go. Yeah.
Because that is just...
What were they thinking?
I would die, probably. I would die to have a match that long. But yeah, he's great. He's great.
He's come a long way for a big guy.
Oh my god, for a big guy, do you see how fast he is?
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah, he's really definitely improved. When I first saw him come out, I thought, is this going to be another Great Khali experience or something? All due respect, big guys, it's hard to have the agility to move around and stuff in a wrestling ring. But Braun Strowman, man, he's really come up with some stuff that we didn't expect to see from a guy his size.
Oh yeah, it's amazing the things that he can do. I was watching him powder out of the ring after taking a Superman punch. The way he would go through those ropes like water, it was just stunning to me. Braun Strowman is already in the short amount of time he's been on his solo run. He's made people's careers, and he's a phenomenal worker.
Definitely is.
You know, he made James Ellsworth.
He did.
Like, James Ellsworth owes everything to Braun Strowman.
And I believe, you know what, you can also equate Braun Strowman to, you know, almost a revitalization of the Big Show for the last bit of his run here with the company as well, too, which as a fan was great for me to see. Definitely a lot of love and respect for the Big Show and everything. And I was glad that if this is the last we see of the Big Show, I think it was the better sending off that we could have had for a guy with, you know, with his kind of a career.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it would be you know, Braun should feel so honored to even be able to say that, you know, there's a possibility that he retired the Big Show, which is like one of the best things that you can do. Because, like, you know, a superstar, in order for you to retire them, they have to believe in you 100%. And to have a legend like the Big Show, you know, believe in you enough to, you know, put him through a fucking cage, you know, that's just the most respect.
Well, speaking of legends, letting somebody take the reins, for less of better words, allowing them to take those wins and retire them, moving over to Braun's opponent last night, Roman Reigns, a guy who has now been put over by both The Undertaker and John Cena, what could be considered possibly their last matches. I know there's the rumors floating around that Undertaker may return. I'm not so sure if that'll ever actually happen. Cena, we know, will probably be used in some capacity at times, but I think you could almost call his match with Roman Reigns his sending off into not being a full-time guy anymore. So it's a semi-retirement. So what are your thoughts on Roman Reigns?
Roman Reigns is amazing. You know, for him to put on a really good match with The Undertaker, Undertaker being, I think he's at like 357 years old. I'm pretty sure he's
an old man.
Yeah, he's about 357 last I checked on Wikipedia, unless they edited the article. But he's very old. For him to put on a really good match with The Undertaker, you know, no discredit to The Undertaker, but, you know, age does play a part in wrestling.
Sure does.
And for him to wrestle an Invisible Man and really kill it, that's amazing. Because, you know, I was just watching Reigns just fight the air.
He was fighting the air.
It was unreal.
Yeah.
You know, how can you wrestle nobody while also making it look like you wrestled somebody?
I definitely couldn't see his opponent in that match.
I don't even know who he was wrestling that night.
That's right.
I just kind of watched, and they were like, "Oh, here's this guy," and I was like, "There's no one there."
Apparently, someone was there, but I kept hearing that I couldn't see him. That's all I kept thinking.
Do you think it's like a spell that he cast, like using dark magic, that like, hey, you can't see me,
you can't,
and now I'm gone.
Just he's like waves his hand. It's like, where the hell did he go? It's like peekaboo when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Pretty much like that.
It's amazing. He's like Reptile from Mortal Kombat. And Reptile, if you're listening to this, which I know you are, you son of a bitch, I'm playing Mortal Kombat 2 on my Super Nintendo. Stop going invisible because it makes me cry.
Damn Reptile. Fuck Reptile. So, what are your thoughts, Roman Reigns? There is a good possibility, the rumor has been, that he will be Brock Lesnar's opponent at WrestleMania this year, is what the company is looking to do. And they're looking to possibly put Reigns over as the next Universal Champion. What are your thoughts on Reigns main eventing WrestleMania again and possibly being the one to dethrone Brock Lesnar?
I dig it. As we all know, you know, when Brock first came back, him and John had a match at Extreme Rules. He lost. You know, Brock is totally capable of pushing somebody to, like, the main event status again, because once Brock lost against John Cena was even bigger than before. So Reigns being able to dethrone Brock, you know, at least we'll be able to see the Universal Championship every week.
And how strong is that going to make Reigns look? And also the Universal title as well, too. I mean, it's taken this many big guys to take the fight to Lesnar, and if Reigns is the one to finally do it, how much relevance is the Universal title going to have on a guy who was able to beat the guy?
It's going to be crazy. Because, you know, all the circulation around the title right now is who's going to beat Brock Lesnar. I mean, if I was given the opportunity, I know I would.
Oh, anybody would love to, I'm sure.
No, I'd beat him.
You'd beat him. You know, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
There we go, Vince. Book that one, too.
Vince. War Games.
War Games.
War Games. We're doing the triple stack cage again. I'll work twice in one night for you. Both of those the matches are 3 hours apiece. 1 hour in each area. 6 hour pay-per-view, book it, and it's just me wrestling two guys.
Well, let's do one last topic then, seeing as we brought up War Games a couple times in this cast here today. What are your thoughts on War Games coming to NXT in November?
Man, I hate the idea of it. No, I'm joking. It's one of the greatest pay-per-views that was available at the time. You know, WCW really made it a cool thing. You know, I'm hoping to see somebody planking in between the two rings, and so if somebody walks out and walks over them, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of comedy wrestling, so.
Was it the right decision to allow it to go to NXT as opposed to the main roster?
Heckin' yeah, dude. What? It's on NXT. Everybody will love it. If it was on the main roster, everybody would be like, "Oh, we can't see through the cage."
Well, I think it would have also got a lot of criticism because people would have, wanted to see other people that, Vince probably wouldn't have involved in the actual match itself. I think, I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone because it hasn't actually been announced on NXT's airing right now, and I don't like to be a spoiler. So we know that War Games is happening. I'm aware of who's in it. I'm not sure if you're aware who's participating in the actual match. So we aren't going to spoil it here for you. It is going to be a very interesting encounter, to say the least.
Interesting.
And one of the teams that's being put together for it is intriguing because they haven't revealed how that storyline happens yet. So there is a twist in the tale coming within this whole thing yet. 3 teams being involved.
3 teams.
3 teams.
2 rings.
3 teams, 2 rings.
1 cage.
1 cage.
3, 2, 1.
I believe 1 cage.
I see what they did there.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, so it should be interesting. I think NXT is going to do it justice, and I'm looking forward to it myself. We got TLC this weekend. We're going to make this our last topic of the day, TLC. We know a couple of the matches anyway. We know Asuka and Emma we obviously talked about. Obviously, we both believe Asuka is going to win. Predictions on the women's title match, Mickie James, Alexa Bliss. Who's going over?
Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss. I think I got to go Alexa Bliss as well too. All respect to Mickie James. I think she's been fantastic throughout her career, and I wouldn't be against one last title run for Mickie James either. I just don't think it's right now.
I have a new prediction for the match.
New prediction.
Roman Reigns is gonna win.
Roman Reigns. Not Sister Abigail?
No, that's stupid. Roman Reigns is going to win the women's championship.
Speaking of Sister Abigail, I don't know, it's not been made official, but I'm assuming we're going to see some form of Sister Abigail versus the Demon or versus Finn Balor. Predictions on that one?
Roman Reigns is going to be dressed up as Sister Abigail, and he's going to win.
All right, but I'm going to go, I think Sister Abigail has to pick up the win in this particular match if you're going to make relevance of what they're doing with this particular angle. I think if you're going to make Bray look like a vicious person, I think he needs to look vicious when he goes to that depth, when he digs deep enough to allow Sister Abigail to take over. I think that needs to be when Bray becomes at his best, almost unstoppable. Like, I know that they shouldn't overdo it. I think Sister Abby needs to come out in these situations where, he's finally had enough. And I think if they do it that way, then Bray could end up looking a lot more relevant than he has in recent times, for sure. So,
you know Sister Abigail?
Do I know Sister Abigail? I met her once or twice.
Yeah, you guys must be really tight if you're calling her Sister Abby.
Yeah, Sister Abby. Yeah. She likes when I call her Sister.
Oh,
Abby.
really?
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, we're long-time friends.
Yeah, long-time friends.
Yeah, we went to school together, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What school?
What school? Martinsville, man.
Oh my God, school in Martinsville.
Yeah, she attended there for a little while.
That's unreal. That's great.
So she's very, very quiet in school, kind of quiet. But I was a quiet guy in school too. Now I don't know when to shut up half the time.
Yeah.
So I understand that she stayed dormant for that long, but she's kind of finally breaking out of her shell, kind of going forward. Yeah. So, anyways, TLC is also going to feature. Let's see the main event. We've got a 4-on-3, or currently a 4-on-3 match. We've got The Bar teaming up with Miz and Braun Strowman to take on The Shield. What are your thoughts? Who's going to win?
John Cena's going to run in and win.
Good old Cena.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I've got to go with The Shield taking the win somehow. I think the odds look against him, especially with Braun Strowman on the team on the other side. I think it was too easy to say the Shield for sure before Braun Strowman was added to the mix. Not to take away from the Bar or the Miz at all, but I just feel like you don't bring the Shield back for nothing, kind of thing. So either way, I think they're going to overcome the odds, and the Shield's going to be victorious. I think that's the way it's going to go. So I'm sure more matches are going to be added to the card. I would assume we're probably going to get something added in there, just not sure what yet. But we'll guess we'll wait and see. We're about a week away from WWE TLC. And that's going to bring an end to this show here. But before we do, is there anything you want to say to the listeners, Chris, before we go?
I'm super cool. And, actually doing this interview as Chris, kayfabe is dead, by the way, so anybody getting mad right now can kiss my ass. I would love to do an interview with you where I'm not Chris, and then I can really get into the juicy details.
That sounds good to me. I think definitely we're going to have to do one of those sometime real soon, for sure. I'm sure the listeners out there would be interested to hear who's behind the character. I think they would make for an interesting episode to just let you shoot the real you shoot on everything to do with professional wrestling.
Yes.
So anyways, if you want to catch Chris Summers, definitely try to make your way out to HIW, in particular HIW Wildside, October 26th, Halloween Spectacular. I'm not guaranteeing that Chris Summers is going to be on the card, but we can all hope for the opportunity to see Chris Summers there, so we should all go out and make HIW know that we want to see more Chris Summers on the card as well, too. That's going to wrap it up for us today. Definitely, if you're listening in, check this out. Retweet it on Twitter. Follow me at Real Bobby Munson. Hashtag The Real Bobby Munson. Subscribe below on YouTube here as well. That being said, Chris, any social media you want to plug for yourself?
Add me on MySpace.
Ooh, MySpace. That's a classic.
I have MSN. If you're ever wondering how to find me, I do not use social media very often. So, add me on Facebook at Big Sexy Boy. No, that's my Grindr profile. Yes, my name, add me at Chris Summers. My real name,
there you go,
however, is Christopher P. Summers.
Christopher P. Summers.
Yes.
Okay.
The P stands for palm tree.
Palm tree.
Yes,
nice.
Christopher Palm Tree Summers.
Your parents must have been classy people.
Yeah. My dad's name was actually Samuel Langhorne Chimmins.
Chimmins. Ooh,
yes.
That's very exotic.
Yes, it's a play on the word Chimmins because I'm actually Christopher P. Chimmins, but I use Summers because it's cool.
It is cool.
Yes.
It's got kind of that time of your life kind of feel.
Yeah. And maybe one day I'll bust out the Christopher P. Chimmins one day, but I can't break kayfabe too much.
Perfect. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been a delight, and I hope to have you back soon.
No problem.
All right. Thank you, everyone.